Welcome to Daredevil in the Details, a show that explores and dotes on the philosophy and themes of Netflix's Daredevil, a digression collection brought to you by AMTTM Madness and ZeroIndent, for yet another break glass in case of emergency recording. Pat, it's finally happened. We had our first look at Born Again a couple weeks ago, and they've dropped the friggin' trailer on us with no notice. I had to roll over this morning and go for my walk and look at my phone and see Daredevil Born Again trailer. Pat, I didn't know it was coming.
How else do you get that news?
That's
normally how it goes for me.
People tell me
on YouTube feed.
Or I hear it on I listen to the Weekly Planet every week, and usually if there's like something coming up, they'll talk about it.
I'll see.
So I'll hear about it.
One thing I like about disassociating from like the pop culture nerd world is that even though I love that stuff, it's that you get little presents like this that just pop up and you go, oh, and it's a little delightful surprise every time.
Yeah, it's a free treat. Yeah, exactly. That is the nice thing about being unplugged. Look, what we're gonna do today, we're gonna watch the trailer. We're gonna do a wee bit of a reaction and talk about it. And I think we're sort of in a position where we're really in the lead up now to Born Again, right? We're only 3 months out. It's starting to feel a lot more real than it's ever felt. So I'm kind of curious what we end up seeing, what we don't see. I'm gonna make a prediction now. I don't think we'll see Karen. I just have an intuition that like we might see a Foggy or we might see the three of them together. But I think they've got some ideas in the chamber for those characters that they don't want to put in the trailers. I reckon it's going to be very spoiler-free, light story. I reckon it'll be themes for the most part. I don't think they're going to be sort of setting up story elements. Is my expectation.
Yeah, sorry, I thought for a second you were talking about the show like itself. I was like, I think Karen's gonna be in the show.
No, I meant the trailer.
Yeah, I think you're right. I kind of think they got to focus on like lawyer stuff. That's what I think they.
Yeah, or like
show.
the Fisk Daredevil relationship, maybe, because that seems to be central from what we've seen for all the whole 30 seconds we've seen so far. All right, well, I mean,
so keen.
Let's just do it. I'm gonna tab across, and I'll count us in, and I'll go 3, 2, 1, play. And when I say play, you click play. Yeah.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1, play.
Thank you for finding the time. I will admit, it's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again.
Oh, he's married. There you go. There's the ring.
Oh, crap.
A lot of time has passed.
Oh, Fisk's finger.
By the look of it, you've come up in the world.
I could say the same about you.
The mayor serves his city. I can see you're not entirely convinced.
Can you blame me?
Ooh.
I can't shake the feeling that you're gaming the system.
Why did you stop being a vigilante?
The line was crossed.
It's hard to come to terms with a violent nature.
Ooh.
Hating the power it has over us.
What?
This city can't go unchecked.
Let's go!
Sometimes peace needs to be broken. And chaos must reign.
Mind putting the hatchet down? I was raised to believe in grace.
There's Karen.
But I was also raised to believe in retribution.
Oh, damn.
Oh, interesting. Oh my god. Yo.
All right.
That looks sick, dude.
There's some things going on.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I was hearing the whole thing twice. I'm not sure what that's about, but hey, we're just living with it.
I pressed play and then it was coming out of my speakers instead of my headphones.
You just living that life. That
yeah, and then I was like, I'm not gonna. It's too late.
It's too late.
Yeah.
That damn, I mean, the devil's work is never done is a sick tagline. I have to be real.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I was expecting. That's interesting. So it seems like maybe he's retired as Daredevil, and he's sort of he's been forced to come back into the spotlight, I guess, to deal with something. So hang on.
Kind of what I expected.
Yeah.
Because the 3 seasons, they wrap up, like emotionally, psychologically, criminally.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's wrapped up, and I always thought that was the vibe I was getting from like the production news about the show, is that it's like years later he's a grizzled Matt is forced to come back to the table.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to sort of have maybe the same time period in the universe pass as, since we've had these characters. Like, because I mean, what was the last season wrapped up in late 2018, right? That was what we decided in our sort of season 3 finale or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not been as long as it feels like, but obviously with the sort of pandemic years, it has, I think, warped reality quite a lot. Now, I've got a few questions already. This image that we're looking at here is Fisk and Vanessa, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's Rabbit in a Snowstorm behind them, or maybe they've had it commissioned. I don't know what that would be, but you can see a splatter of some kind.
Yeah, well, Rabbit in a Snowstorm got all bloodied up, and
yeah.
I mean, so did this one, apparently.
But this is a different aspect ratio, so I'm assuming it's a different painting.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool if they've taken that painting and they've like got it. They're leaning into it. Maybe, I don't know. It's interesting. Just imagery wise.
Okay, the main thing that struck me was this new face. I think it was toward the end of the trailer.
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Looked like maybe not FBI, but like had a gun. Is that the person you're thinking of?
Maybe. Where was it?
I mean, the Punisher's back is like kind of a big deal. We're gonna fucking lie about that. That's kind of sick to have Frank back, honestly. Yeah.
And what does he say to get his attention? He says red.
I think so.
Yeah.
What does he say? Let me hear that again. Hold on. No. Matt yells at Frank. He's like yelling Frank's name. Yeah. Interesting.
Where was the dude? Hold on.
Just like put the hatchet down or whatever.
But he was also raised.
This guy?
Yeah, that guy. Who the hell is this guy?
I don't know.
Why is there a close up of him?
I don't know.
He seems like he's going to be a pivotal character.
He might just be related to the lawyer plot. There's Karen. Okay, well, I was not expecting to see her, but that's interesting. I don't know, because in the comic Born Again, Karen is not in a good place. This does not look like that version of Karen. This version of Karen does not look like a strung out heroin addict. So I'm assuming that they're doing what Marvel always does and kind of taking the name of the comic, not the content.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you don't have to be a heroin addict to be strung out, though. She looks kind of like worried in this.
That's
scene.
Normal Karen face. Pat, you've forgotten. You've been away from the show for long enough. Karen always looks like the. In fact, she looks less harried here than she normally does. Maybe that's the magic of heroin, Pat. You know what I mean? I thought this is interesting. Do you think maybe opening flashback or something to something that goes wrong? Like, what line do you think was crossed?
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, exactly. What the hell are they talking about?
Yeah, something's gone awry in the land of Matt
He's missing a
Murdock,
horn.
Daredevil. You know?
Yeah, he got the Hellboy thing. He's only got one horn.
Or do you think it's more like with the Dark Knight Rises, where it's like they crossed the line so that he doesn't have to be Daredevil anymore, kind of thing. Like it might be that type of vibe.
What?
So you know how in The Dark Knight Rises, peace is sustained because Jim and Batman lie about Harvey Dent, and they're able to like
I
instantiate the new laws. Do you think it might be like, because like I think it could be a great act of violence or like that Daredevil's done, but it could also be like that he did something that he knows was like unethical to mean that he doesn't have to be around anymore. You know,
maybe that's an interesting thought.
Because that could be the division between him and Karen, right? Is that he did it so that they could be together and have an actual life, but she judges him so severely for the thing he did to make that happen that they can never be together. That would be like a classic Matt Karen relationship moment, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, whatever it is, I feel like it's going to be super important. That might just be like the opening of the show is this event, and then the rest of the show picks up like a year later from that or something. I wouldn't
be surprised at all.
I love this this mural.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on here?
I don't know. It seems like maybe the many faces of Wilson Fisk. I don't know. And who's doing the painting, Pat? That's probably going to be important. So he's the mayor, I guess. You know what I mean? Oh, we missed this at the start, but there's the trio. Kind of whizzed by us.
Foggy keeps looking more fresh every season.
It's I don't understand what this dude's like regime is, but he's aging backwards for real.
Yeah, he's looking good.
Yeah.
They're all looking pretty good. They got that Marvel makeup budget now.
They got the Marvel makeup budget. Charlie Cox refusing the Marvel hair budget. Unfortunately, he doesn't. He's like, I still want to look scruffy. I guess it makes sense. But you got a friendly arm hold with Karen there. That's sort of
yeah.
You know,
which raises an eyebrow. Like, who's he macking on later on?
Later, I think was that not. This is going to sound.
That didn't look like Karen.
This will sound crazy. I thought it might have been. Because who's this? This isn't Vanessa. This is someone else.
Yeah, I don't know who the hell that is.
That's just some character. I think it's this person. I think that's who he's.
Yeah.
Who he's schnooking. Do you know what I mean?
I think so.
There's not enough frames, but I think that's the same person.
Okay. All right. Maybe the shot of the trio being happy is pre-crossing the line. Maybe this is like.
This is post. Actually, this is the same person. She has black finger paint on, and then in the.
Oh, good catch.
Yeah, and she has the black finger paint on when they're doing the kissing. So I think it's the same person. Yeah, you can see the black nail polish. Maybe same night even. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe this is like the lead up to all is happening. You know,
that necklace is that the cross his mother gave him?
I think it might be. Yeah. You reckon he's still wearing it? That'd be crazy.
Yeah. That'd be cute.
Matt Murdock actually decided to care about his mom's wishes for once. Yeah, it's already, there's a lot going on. I think Frank coming back is like such an inspired choice because he's such a good counterweight. But I'm curious where he finds himself in the story because do you remember, did you ever watch The Punisher season 2?
No, I only watched the first one.
Yeah, okay. No, I think I did, but I've forgotten everything that happens in season 2. I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you what happens or doesn't happen. Someone in the comments, let us know.
Okay, and then this collection of masks, which, I mean, they look sick. I don't know, like, how much... They must have different functionality or something, because, like, what good is color to a blind man? I don't...
Do you think this is just a way to rug sweep the She-Hulk stuff? Without having to address it?
Oh, possibly.
Like...
Possibly.
It just makes it feasible that he might have been there, and then also you have the one on the far right hand side, which looks quite a lot like the cowl in Echo. Like it might just be like a coverall.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
It's the kind of writing thing you would do if you don't want to have to address head on whether this is technically part of the same continuity. Like it kind of that ambiguity lets it be both, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, so okay, this array of masks sort of implies that he's had quite the career since we last saw him.
Right.
So And so that, I guess that gives more credence to this time jump thing, like, you know, that it takes place quite a while after season 3.
Well, that's what Fisk says in the diner in the first look reaction, which is like, you know, you've made quite the name for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like he might be talking about both in the suit and out of the suit, right?
I'm pretty hyped for this now because it seems like it's keying into all the best stuff about Daredevil. And the fact that the trailer, like, I always think this about trailers, especially like if it's like Marvel or Star Wars, if it looks kind of like banal and like innocuous, that probably means it's going to be a banger, because the things you can put in a trailer are like really like sort of deeply symbolic shots that only have meaning once you know, have the full context kind of thing.
Right.
And I feel like that's the vibe I'm getting here.
Well, yeah, otherwise you just end up showing your biggest action sequence or your coolest finished SFX shot, right?
Exactly. And like, I feel like this show, I don't know, every shot in here, like him in, like, you know, this is going to be such a cool setup. Like him in, what is that going on here? I'm so excited. Like, it's also a very Dark Knight.
It seems like he's stopping a bank robbery. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's the vibe I'm getting. And if you put it together with the shot that we got in the first look reaction, where he's like walking through what seems to be a vault underground, and he's talking to some dude, and the line the guy goes like, "What kind of lawyer are you?" And Matt gives the same response he gives in Spider-Man, which is like a really good one or whatever he says. That seems like it's in a bank or underground or something. So maybe he foils a bank robbery just as Matt Murdock or something. I don't know. Like, cause this, do you know what I mean? This seems like not a good, not a good situation to be in. This is, I'm so hyped for this, man. This seems, the American flags and shit, like, come on now. I'm so keen. Is there anything in here that jumps out to you as like, what would you call it? Obviously this strange woman we want to know more about. But like plot wise, is there anything in here? Because we've got Bullseye clearly back, right? That's sort of, is this him?
Yeah, these masked people.
Yeah, or is this a different guy? Seems like it might be a different guy. I'm not sure.
I honestly can't tell.
Yeah.
But yeah. Is Dex working with Fisk again? Is he working against Fisk?
Right.
Is he working with these masked people?
And is that good? Like, what is Fisk up to? Like, do you know, like, because, okay, Mayor is interesting because his whole play in the end of, because he wanted to be Mayor in season 1, if I'm not mistaken. I know we talked about that forever ago, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, he announced his candidacy, and then Urich published the article that he had written, but it did nothing because something happened. Urich died, but like there was some reason why it didn't have any credibility. I think because Fisk got ahead of it, and he revealed all the dirt on himself killing his father, and that was when he announced his candidacy for mayor, I think.
Yeah. I'm like low-key thinking, is that in season 3 though when he runs for mayor?
No, we keep making this mistake because in season 3 he has all these press conferences where he's like, I'm an innocent man, etc., etc. Like,
yeah, the big finale in season 3 is his wedding. He's getting married. That's the thing.
Yeah. But season 1 is definitely when he's running for the mayor. I remember even during season 1, we were both like, "Isn't that season 3?" And it's not season 3.
Is that a thing in the comics though? He was mayor of New York or something?
Varying different iterations, but yeah, some kind of form of public office is a pretty common move for Fisk. Usually like governor or something. I think mayor is like an unusual.
I kind of have this fleeting memory of him in this PlayStation Spider-Man games. They say something about Fisk being mayor or something like that.
He could be. He might be, yeah. That does sound like the kind of thing that they would do in those games. They're very much about that kind of layering.
It was cool.
You beat him up in the first game.
Playing it. That's right. That's right. I completely forgot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was playing the second one recently, and as I was swinging around, I saw like there were like scaffolding and buildings and stuff, and it has like the Union Allied construction.
Oh, that's
logo,
awesome!
Like, oh, that's cool. Yeah.
That's great. Okay, I'm convinced this is a bank robbery, Pat. New York Mutual. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got a bank robbery. I reckon that's episode 1 or something. I reckon that's early days.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I don't know what they're going to want to do with Fisk, but I think Mayor is a really interesting choice. And unpacking how he got there and what he's actually trying to do, I think there's a lot of surface area for that. Because, like, as a character, you know, is he actually reformed? Or is it just classic, you know, Fisk with some agenda?
Yeah. You know what? Maybe that is gonna be an emotional battle for Matt to deal with the fact that Fisk is less evil than he was, and because it seems like there's a lot going on, like bad guy wise, Dex and that weird mask group. So maybe it's gonna go. He's suspicious of Fisk so much that he can't like divorce Fisk from like these other things happening, these other groups emerging.
I could see that.
And at the end of the season, he has to sort of maybe reconcile the fact that while Fisk is an evil piece of shit, there's nothing he can do this time about it because he's, seems to not be involved or something.
That could be kind of interesting, and maybe having them have the kinds of conversations that he used to have with like Maggie and with Father Lantom type of thing. Like, because he always needs, an angel of better nature, and the irony and the kind of difficulty of that being someone like Fisk would be quite a rich vein, I think, to explore. It's because it's like, well, yeah, wasn't the whole project so that these people would stop doing these things? And now that they've stopped doing them, you can't see them as anything other than the people who did these things, right? Like, and there's a kind of it's like a very Batman problem to have to kind of contend with. I think the animated series does a really good job of that, and I don't want to labor on it too much because 1,000 people will talk about this for 1,000 hours, but it's not just the empathy. It's also like when someone comes out on the other side, what does that mean for the person who primarily saw them as, the person doing all the bad things or the villain? Like, how do you recuperate your perspective on these people that you've spent so much time viewing one type of way, right? It's a bit like, and how do you not constantly hold what they did against them? You're supposed to be happy that they've changed, but it's like, but also you had to live through all of those things they did, and you trying to prevent them from doing worse things, right? I think the simplest actual analog is if you know someone who had any kind of substance abuse issue or any kind of dependency issue, whether that be substance or otherwise, and when they're experiencing that, you're frequently, if you're very close to them, trying to help them through that and dealing with a lot of the output and the consequence of that. But then when they do eventually get clean, if that's the decision they're able to make, it can be really difficult not to resent them for all those things that they put you through and that you had to endure. And you're supposed to be happy for them being better, but at the same time, it's like, well, I'm supposed to not feel a type of way about all this other stuff. And we've talked about Daredevil as an analog for, or a vector for some of Matt's addiction or addictive traits, or it can be read as like an addiction at times. You think about all the church stuff we talked about in season 1 and 3. It's all there, I think, to then go, okay, Fisk is on the other side of it, and how does Matt see him as anything other than the Kingpin?
And then, I can imagine a writer following that trail and be like, well, maybe Matt's like abject suspicion of Fisk is exactly what, leads Fisk to break bad again.
Right. Yeah. It's like, well, if that's the only way you can see me, then that's the only way I can be, type of thing, right? Yeah, it's interesting. I also wonder, and this, I'm curious on your perspective on this. Like, do you do you want Fisk to be reformed? Like, is that an interesting avenue? Or do you want that kind of reformation to then slide? Or is there like a particular thing you're interested in with Fisk as a character?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I feel like it's not interesting if you flip flop too much. If he is going to reform, I want it to like really like lean into it. Like he's like really trying to make amends, kind of thing. I don't want him to just be a little bit less evil, because I feel like that still falls into the cliche of static characters that get milked by these IP owners and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you run the risk of like becoming too similar to like, or relying too much on like the George Bush Jr. kind of conciliation in neoliberalism, which is like this idea that if you're just not outwardly evil and you only do bad things sometimes quietly, people don't think that you're really that bad. And like that's just not an interesting position to have Fisk be in, right? Like I would much rather him be a complete altruist and maybe be doing it for the wrong reasons than I would want him to be a good dude who's secretly actually doing all this evil shit and his agenda was evil the whole time.
Yeah.
I just think there's like there's a lot of problems they have to overcome as like storytellers that these characters have faced previously. But that to me is like one of the most challenging ones. And to have him be, have a stable relationship with Vanessa, right? Season 3 ends with Matt holding the, basically using Vanessa as blackmail, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's gonna get Vanessa arrested, like put in prison if Fisk doesn't play nice.
Right.
So yeah, I think it would be cool if that leverage was still relevant in this scene, for example.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine like, this somewhere in this scene, Fisk or Matt rather says like that, that threat still stands kind of thing. And I'm watching you. Yeah.
Well, this is one of the things I pitched when we talked about the first look was like, I would love for this to be a regular check-in where he's keeping Fisk on the up and up. You know what I mean?
Like a parole officer, yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I just think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, and that's actually such a cool idea because it's not only that, I mean, it's mainly the thing about Vanessa, but it's also the fact that Matt could find Fisk anywhere and beat him up.
Literally.
Like, physically, yeah.
Yeah. Or he could just dime on Vanessa tomorrow. Like, he has the evidence he needs. And there's a statute of limitations, but if you're the mayor, that's a scandal you're not coming back from now. Like, the stakes have not been higher for Fisk in this particular kind of context for things potentially going wrong.
And whatever this line crossing was, maybe Fisk is genuinely quite scared of Matt now. That would be another element. Yeah.
That could be really interesting.
He's like, Fisk could be like, oh, I wasn't familiar with your game, like.
Yeah, you have it in a type of way I didn't think you did. Like,
yeah.
And that could be interesting too, because that could be Fisk seeing who he used to be a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, that we talked a lot about the distance between normal composed guy and howling animal with Fisk, where it's like, it just flips on a dime, right? Maybe he saw that in Matt in a way that he just had never expected to see in somebody else. And so it's not just that he's afraid of Matt, but he's like afraid of the implications of Matt being this guy.
Yeah. All right. What do you want to see wider MCU stuff in here?
I think if there was anything I'd want to see, I recently rewatched, just before Christmas, I rewatched that Hawkeye show.
Okay.
Which contended a lot with the ideas that you would put forth in your Daredevil Season 4 pitch, in particular, the kind of mundane realities of the snap and sort of what that means for like normal people. You see Clint in that show really dealing with the fact that like he had to live that whole 5 years, and he got old in that 5 years in a way that like, is interesting to have to deal with. I think I would want.
one of my favorite bits in that show is when Clint is at the opera and he goes to the bathroom. Someone scribbled "Thanos was right" on the stall, and he's like, "Huh." And it's like a symbolic pointer to so much, like, you know, you could infer so much like psychology from his reaction to that, and you know, like, obviously the context you know about him living through the snap and stuff. There are little moments like that are just like well thought out. I thought
it's a really good TV show. There's a moment later where he and Kate are staying in Kate's aunt's flat because she's away for the holidays or whatever. And it's after he's connected with Kate and they have like kind of a bit of a rapport. And he just happily is drinking coffee from a Thanos was right mug. Which is really fun. And like the fact that's just normal stuff that's around. I mean, I don't necessarily want like an explicit reference to the snap, but I think what could be interesting is Matt has had to live that, and I don't want it to be the same as the Ronin thing during that 5-year period. I don't necessarily want the same levers to be pulled where during that 5 years he became something else. But I wouldn't mind if there is an oblique reference to the fact that like Matt had to live through that 5 years and other people in the story didn't, and that actually has a huge impact on who Matt is. You know, maybe during that 5-year period he was nothing but Daredevil, right? And he's been rebuilding his life ever since, but he just cannot get it right. Or like, I don't know, I think if there was a wider MCU thing I'd want it to pin itself to, I think it would be that moment, because there's a lot of source to it. And doing the edit for the season 4, the prospective season 4, I'm only increasingly convinced that's a really compelling area to play with the outputs of. Alternatively, I don't know, I think the corollary of that, so the rebuilding of institutions in New York, and maybe like the laws have changed because of the snap, that could be kind of interesting if we think about the lawyer side of things. You had talked a lot in the prospective season 4 about you suddenly have half the people are gone. What does like squatting mean anymore if no one needs the space because there's too many buildings? Like, what happens when everyone comes back, and what does that do to the law? And what does Matt's job as a lawyer look like now as a result? Like, that could be really, really compelling to me. I think those are probably the bigger MCU things I'm interested in. I'm not sure there's anything really of recent note that I'm particularly like interested in seeing connect. I'm trying to think what I've seen of the MCU stuff recently, and nothing really jumps out to me.
It's been pretty like disparate, as in they're not connected at all, which is, you know, that's fine. But
I guess Hawkeye's the last New York thing we've had, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Because that Spider-Man flick was a year before, I think.
Yeah.
The one with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, look, Spider-Man, that'd be cool. I wouldn't not like that. But
they're fun in the comics. They're a fun duo. I don't know that they have the budget for Tom Holland. I have to be honest. Yeah, it doesn't seem. Also, doesn't everyone not know who he is anymore because of
Oh, that's true. I forget.
So he's just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but that could be a good point. That could be a good way to introduce him. Ground level stuff. I want to see more of that with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah. Give me some guys getting beaten up in an alley. I think, you know, Spider-Man could be fun. They're talking about bringing in the Fantastic Four or whatever. I think that is too much. You know, too much.
Well, in this show, yeah, that would be too much.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you could see a logo in the background or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
They've taken over Avengers Tower or something. Well, no, haven't Thunderbolts in Avengers Tower?
Hold on. I really like that. If you see Avengers Tower in the background and there's a 4 there, oh, bro, that'd be awesome. That'd go hard.
Yeah, people would pop for that, for real.
Yeah.
Wait, there'd be an hour discussion mid-episode of us just being like, what does this mean? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think for me, what I'm more interested in is, and this won't be a surprise, is what do they do with characters like Bullseye and Frank and Matt, given just not necessarily in our timeline as far as like, you know, obviously a lot's happened, but in universe, the distance between isolated Netflix Daredevil 2018 and the current state of the MCU, like a lot has happened. Like a lot has happened since that show ended. And I just don't know what you do with that and what that does to these characters. And if they contend with that at all, or if they just have it be fully sealed and, you know, fully italic. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
Yeah, there's some violence, man. I just...
yeah, there is some oh, actually, that's another thing I noticed. There's a lot more, like, kind of John Wicky violence, it seems. Like, you know, that Daredevil's always had that kind of very, like, what do you call it? Just gooey violence, you know, you see it happen, you see the bone snap and stuff. But this is, like, the choreography looks a lot better, and the special effects and stuff.
Yeah, the blood, like snapping the elbow and the blood coming through and the...
Yeah.
Yeah, it does have, it's you're right, it has more of like a John Wicky kind of vibe, but maybe that's just the budget, right? Like they just have more money to drop
that's
on
exactly right.
Yeah. I mean, look, I have to be completely honest. I think just like at a baseline level, this seems like a really, I mean, there's a lot going on, but it seems like a really concise thing they might be taught. Like, I don't know, it feels like from this trailer, and it could just be a really well cut together trailer, it feels like they have a really compelling idea of what they're doing, and they're not showing us that full idea here. Is my feeling.
Yeah, okay, see all this construction happening? That's definitely, like, Fisk as mayor has definitely put in some reconstruction initiative, right? And he's good guy Fisk in New York. That's definitely what's going to happen, Aaron.
Which famously, historically in New York has worked out well for the people that live there and has not been a problem at all. Do not check any of the historical records from the 70s. Don't check. It all went well. Famously has always done so. But yeah, I think you're right. I think this will be either a reconstruction effort or building some big piece of gaudy architecture that was destroyed, or that, you know, like... because there's been a lot of damage done to, like, because New York kind of got fucked up in the first one of the two, Infinity War, right? Like, they had a bunch of aliens and monsters and shit running around. Like, you know, there's been damage done to New York, and you got to imagine not all of it's been repaired.
Yeah, I mean, shit's always happening in New York.
Yeah, especially Hell's Kitchen, man. It's a bad place to live. I mean, it seems like.
I feel like Doctor Strange's stuff also happened in New York, so
yeah. I don't trust that motherfucker. He's up to something.
Look at that cut on the horn though. That's a clean cut. That's like from some sort of blade.
A blade, a sai, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or indeed a blade, but they're not making that blade film, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you think cut the what? Who? How do you think he lost horn?
I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe sexy lady that we see later. She bad guy.
Possibly. Then, I kind of don't want that to be the case. I want her to be different from Elektra, but
that would be nice if they were able to write more than 2 female characters. Yes,
she is giving off Elektra vibes, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we all know that Matt is a root rat, so it wouldn't surprise me if he just saw some vague similarity and was like, "Let's do it." Yeah, I don't know. I just, it's interesting. You make a good point. The clean cut makes me think that like it's something real dramatic, you know what I mean? It's giving like dramatic flashback fight scene vibe. And why is it all the way up here in the sky?
That's his fight with Ronan, with Clint. Oh yes. My goodness, it's during the snap, yeah. No,
it's got that cool retractable blade that is a key plot point in that TV show.
3D printed it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. This legitimately has me fucking proper hyped, dude. Like this just looks. It looks like all the stuff that we're interested in, for a Daredevil like vehicle. I think the only thing that I'm still kind of trying to figure out is, I think you're right. I think there's gonna be some kind of a then timeline and like a now timeline, where the then is like he was happy with Karen and Foggy, and like there's a part of me that always wants to see Daredevil as a character have some kind of functioning day life, just because we spent 3 seasons with his life being an absolute train wreck, except for those 3 episodes at the start of season 2. Like, I wouldn't mind if, like, the day life wasn't the problem, but that doesn't make for interesting TV, so can't imagine they'll do that.
You know what? They might really, really fuck his life up in order to make more seasons. And you know what? That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. Do some crazy shit with Maggie, do some crazy shit with Foggy, like...
Yeah. I don't know. Him and Frank become enemies, you know.
Ooh.
Maybe. Yeah, man. Like, I don't know.
Actually, that would be a really good, like... That would be a really, really good sort of institutional issue if... Yeah, him and Frank are on the wrong side of each other, and, like, maybe Frank is doing the right thing. Do you know, like...
Yeah.
That could be kind of cool. I'd be down for maybe like Matt using his lawyering for not evil, but like using his lawyering in a way that we go like, that is questionable ethics, dude. Like, because it says like a line was crossed. We don't necessarily know that that's a Daredevil line. That could be like a Matt Murdock lawyer line, or it could be like maybe that's what dissolves the new firm, is that he does something he shouldn't do to save a client or to make something happen, or to punish Fisk. You know, like, it doesn't... I think the editing is doing a deliberate thing where it's like, it says the line, you get the cool shove effect of the mask, but like, we don't necessarily know for sure that like, those are related. Like, it may not be a Daredevil line, and that maybe he crosses that line as Matt Murdock, and that's why he stops being Daredevil. You know, because it's no longer
maybe
contained
Karen
to the
crosses that
mask.
line.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Well, she's already killed 2 dudes, right? Like, what's a third?
I mean, that could be what he's talking about. Maybe he's still salty about her killing Wesley.
I mean, that would be crazy. That would be crazy, Pat. Could you imagine?
Fisk is a man to hold on to grudges. All right, he's has an astounding lack of self-awareness.
It's just funny to sit in the audience down and be like, okay, so you remember Daredevil season 1?
Yeah.
Fisk's assistant. To be fair, Wesley is unforgettable. I'm not throwing any shade. Wesley is a great character. We love Wesley. I don't want anyone to misconstrue what we're saying. I just think that would be insane. I'm not against it. God, bring Wesley back in a flashback. What are we doing? Like...
Throw him in the Lazarus pit. Can we borrow that from DC?
Surely Tony Stark make someone come back to life. He's figured that out for sure. Like, someone has done it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Maybe when Cap went back to put those Infinity Stones back, he brought back Wesley. Listen, Doctor Strange is a fucking wizard, dude. Just wizard him back for us, okay? Actually, parallel universe Wesley.
Well, I don't want parallel universe. I want my Wesley, Pat. I know it was different. You know what I mean? Like, is there two final questions? Is there anything that you definitely don't want to see in this kind of run? Like, is there anything that you kind of go, I don't want them to veer into this?
Good question. I mean, I don't want them to cover the same shit they've covered in the previous 3 seasons, like theme-wise. I don't want the Hand to come back.
I was thinking, the Hand and Elektra, I think. Let's just let those be done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, mostly, I don't want Matt to be hallucinating about his dad again. You know, like, I don't want, I don't want Karen to be going on about her trauma. You know, like, those characterizations have been established and they've been worked through. You know, like, yeah. Give me some new conflicts.
Yeah, exactly. Give me traumas and conflicts that are a result of the things that have happened since we last saw them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
second question. Are there any characters that you want to see come back that we haven't seen already?
Maggie. I want Maggie to come back. Because I essentially want her to do the thing that she did in my fan fiction, which was be like this, the Father Lantern character,
right?
Someone for moral guidance for Matt.
But way more
because
cynical.
You know, Yeah, well, it's such a good like device in your story to to have a dialogue between. It's like someone working through their issues by themselves almost. That's what these sort of characters do for your story, right?
Yeah, it's therapy, but like it doesn't have to be a therapist's office, right? It's Catholic therapy, which is therapy, but you punish yourself more. Yeah,
and it's always interesting when it's close characters who are close, and you get these raw and reactionary bits of dialogue that are some mean and and you have these emotional outbursts and stuff. I don't know. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, anything that can be like anything where you can go from a soliloquy into like a personal attack in the same conversation. That's like the juice of Daredevil.
Yeah, love that shit.
I was thinking about this before. I said this during I haven't said this on microphone, but I've said this to you in person. I really want Foggy and Marcy to just have a stable, good relationship. I don't want Foggy to like be in a position again where he feels like a loser or he feels like he's not good enough. Like I want him to be fully realized because just as a character, I feel he's earned that. And I kind of like he didn't become DA, and like I guess they started their the firm again with the three of them. But I just think in general, I would like to see him have a good personal life outside of anything else that's happening in the story. Because like I think anything else feels a little bit like if we talked a lot in the series about Matt and Karen being the two main characters that you can kind of deconstruct and that have different constituent elements that are never fully explainable. And Foggy is a character that doesn't quite fit that mold. And so I think putting Foggy or writing Foggy into the show as someone who has lost a lot of the not the virtues, but like the lessons he's learned throughout his life and his moral foundation, and those things are what make him and Marcy work really well. Is that he is a genuinely good person trying to do the right thing, and that's why they click together, because that's secretly what she wants to be doing as well, and they bring the best out in each other. And I think a different show, I don't know if this is what they're doing, but some shows would have her be fridged in some way to give Foggy and Matt some kind of divide between them. I guess I don't want that to be the reason. I'd much rather they're still together and it still works. We don't really need to see it. We just know that he has his personal life kind of figured out on that side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's always been the best thing about Foggy is that he's like his goodness provides like a great foil to explore Matt's psychology. And anything else just comes off as pretty corny melodrama.
Right.
IMO.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm trying to articulate. You fucking nailed it in one, right? And that was my issue a lot with like Foggy in season 1, when he was sort of crushing on Karen or whatever, and it just felt kind of silly. Like it felt a bit heightened, and like that season earns that tone a little bit at times. But yeah, I think I kind of agree with you on all fronts as far as like what I don't want to see. Trying to think who I'd want to see more of. Like we kind of.
I mean, I wouldn't mind Edison, or what's his name, Ellison, coming back.
Ellison,
I like him.
Great character, head of the newspaper. Yeah.
I mean, the other Defenders, I always want to see them.
I would love Jessica Jones to pop in, Luke Cage to pop in. Yeah. Colleen Wing, let her show up for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The true main character of Iron Fist.
Not as obsessed with Colleen as you are for some reason, but I'd love to see her again.
Listen, you don't have to listen back to the Defenders coverage that we did 3 times like I did to edit those episodes, but your lukewarmness on... Not Luke, that's a confusing way of saying it. Your coldness on Colleen is still baffling to me. She's like the best part of the Defenders, honestly. Such a mid show.
Yeah, mid. That's the most praise that show has ever gotten.
I have to hold on to that because I spent so many hours of my life editing those episodes and putting it all together. I have to convince myself.
You have to justify it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like Sherlock where I wrote a book at the end. You know, like there was the output of that. This was just, we suffered and then I continued to suffer. Was my issue with the Defenders.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But no, you're right. I think I'd like to see some of that. Lawyer-wise, I wouldn't mind seeing Jerry Hogarth stick her head in. She's always fun. I don't know what Trish is up to. She's probably still in prison. She's in the Raft, right?
The Raft. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool if he went to the Raft. I don't know what he's doing there, but he's
got to see some of his old nemesis, you know? Maybe he's fought, in the interim, he's fought some of the normal Marvel baddies, you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe he's representing them.
Yeah. I mean, cool. You know, I mean, they all die at the end of their film, so who the fuck would he be representing? But, like, you know, you get some guys from the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to make up a stupid Marvel comic book character name. I almost said Kite Man, which is just a real guy from the DC comics.
Yeah, you don't have to make the Tinkerer.
It's you don't
have to make up these names.
You know who I want to see is Melvin Potter. What's he up to?
Okay, yeah. I mean, it would be funny if he was like all hurt about Daredevil finding a new tailor. That'd be funny.
I mean, he's always in his feelings about something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that could be fun. I don't know. I think what's going to happen now is I'm so excited that I'm just going to beg off watching anything else that comes out, I think is where I've landed. Like, outside of coverage for this, we might do one more of these before the show comes out if the schedule needs it, but like, I'm sold. This just has the vibe, like, it looks great. The acting feels right. Everyone looks like and again, it's just a trailer. But it's giving off all of the right energy. And I feel like with what we've seen over the last like kind of 12 months of movies and films in this genre, this to me is the most like, oh, this feels like a natural evolution of the thing that we spent 2 years talking about, right? Like it feels of a piece, but not the same so far.
Yeah. No, I'm incredibly optimistic.
Yeah. Which... we rarely are, and so I imagine will bite us in the ass, but hey, you can't freaking stop us. We're doing it anyway.
I have a good sense about these things, generally.
I think you do. I don't. I have a terrible sense for this stuff. I see a trailer, I'm like, that looks bad, and I watch the film, like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I see a trailer, and I'm like, that looks good, and then I watch it, I'm like, this is dog water. I just don't think I have a good Spidey sense for trailers anymore. That's the thing. Yeah, but I mean, this looks great. Pat, any final thoughts? Anything you want to say before we wrap up? Anything itching in the back of the old noggin?
No. Remind me when it comes out.
March. Let me check the spreadsheet. Hold on. I want to say it's March 3rd, but let me quickly check our schedule.
Oh, here we go. It's in the description. March 4th.
March 4th. Okay, so March 3rd for us, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's fucking go.
So it's soon. So we've got so for those who are subscribed and for those who watch us regularly, we have 3 episodes coming out between now and then. So we watched The Batman and we talked about it in 3 separate parts. And then basically that brings us to Born Again. We might do a little cheeky bonus episode in the middle, which would come out the 8th of March. But on current schedule, unless I move things around, our first episode of Born Again is due to come out the 23rd of March. We might move that up to the 8th of March. We'll see how we go. It's just a pretty tight turnaround for editing, but you know, it'll be around there. Is when we'll be back with more Daredevil, but there's be plenty of content in the interim with the Batman discussion. I think it's probably one of the most interesting discussions we've had to date. Taking a film like that, I mean, it very much like Solo, what we did, 4 or 5 years ago. Took that film, really exploded it into its component parts, worked it through scene by scene. The thing about that Batman discussion that's really, really interesting is how different our perspective is on film from 4 or 5 years ago to now, and the way that we approach it and break it down. I thought it was a really a very good example, and I hope that you guys agree when it does come out. I thought it was a really compelling example of like, we still use all the same mechanisms and tools of analysis, but we've all matured so much as media criticism people that like it's just a much more rounded and compelling discussion than we could have been capable of having 5 years ago. I'm sort of
exactly right.
Yeah, and I'm really excited This is going to sound so stupid. I'm really excited to have that conversation about Born Again because it's the first time, and maybe the last time, where one of the units we're doing is, you know, sort of by design, contemporaneous. We never talk about things that are coming out anymore. That's sort of part of the mechanism of the Zero Indent review is like, we don't want to have to be doing what we did at, you know, Art for Artists, where I have to watch a fucking TV show every week or, you know, a new thing. Like, we can do stuff at the pace we want every fortnight. But this is really exciting because I think this is such an important part of our lives, this show, right? Daredevil. And, you know, we did this thing for 2 years and now here we are. And it's actually out. It felt like for a minute it wasn't going to happen. You know, they were like, oh, we're getting rid of everything. We're recasting again. It felt like it wasn't going to happen. So I'm unbelievably excited to actually see it. And it's really cool that the trailer gives off all the right energy, you know?
Yeah. It all happened very naturally, which is fantastic.
Which is what you want. I think that's proof that them flipping the production and going this direction was the right choice. Because it sounded like that wasn't where they were previously when they had sort of started it again. Although I do, you know, wish to, dream to live in the world where it was a show largely about lawyering, but you know, we can't have everything.
Yeah. I mean, that also sounded interesting, but I don't know.
This looks good, so I'm not going to fucking complain about it. Pat, that might do us. Where can people find your thoughts on film and philosophy on the internet if they want to hear more about you talking about films, how they work, stories, and philosophy?
Films, what are they? How do they work?
How do they go and what do they do? Good? Where are they? How are they?
You can find me on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts. Name is A Method to the Madness. We also have a website, amttm.com. You can find all our episodes and our socials there. If you like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul stuff, that's what we do a lot of. So check us out. Correct.
And if we can ever get our shit together, we have a big thing we're doing with that this year, but we'll see how we go. We have the plan, at least, on paper. Yes, absolutely. Go follow them, check them out. Links in the show notes. If you're a listener to the Zero Indent review, or you found your way here by accident because this is a topical, timely podcast that's come out, because you've gone, oh my god, Daredevil Born Again trailer reaction, and you found us, we are Zero Indent. We do handcrafted studies of genre fiction. And what that means basically is we take our time talking about film, TV, books, and things that we enjoy or don't enjoy and try to assess how they work. The goal of the Zero Indent project in general is to spend time talking and thinking about things that usually just go by like that and get forgotten. We care about genre fiction and we want to spend time with it because we find it really interesting and compelling. I always say that you read nonfiction to learn about the world, and you read fiction to learn about yourself. Never has that been more true in our current age of media literacy. If you enjoy what we do, please subscribe wherever you find this, leave a comment, a rating, or a review. And if you want to help us out further, you can head to patreon.com/ZeroIndent. Even, drop in $5 for a month, download our 10-year backlog of Patreon bonus content, and dip out. We don't mind. Any amount you can contribute can help. Or if you want to get something physical for your money, you can head to underink.press to find all of our books and merch. Speaking of, Pat, check it out. I've been stealth wearing the new merch the whole time.
Oh, very good. Oh my goodness. What? Oh, he's throwing it back.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
Who could have guessed? You can get the new paint icon tee. It's made of heavyweight cotton fabric, 100% cotton, designed to last you 10, 15 years. Went out of a way to find a distributor that was making high quality material, and we have this nice print quality to it as well. You can find all of that at underink.press, as well as my novels and my Sherlock book, if that's interesting to you in any way, shape, or form. Either way, we appreciate the heck out of you watching or listening. This is our first recording of the new year, and we're very, very excited to get 2025 kicked off. That'll do it, Pat. I don't know what else to tell you, man. It's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again.
Thanks, man. It's same to you.
Yeah. That's what Fisk says, Pat.
Oh, is it?
In the trailer.
Okay,
that's literally the first line in the trailer.
I wasn't paying attention.
Well, that makes sense because we were doing podcast show. All right, guys, that'll do it. We will catch you next time. I imagine the thing we'll hear after this in the feed will be our the Batman Part 1, which I'm very excited to get into. We'll catch you then. Appreciate it.
All right, see you later.
Peace. If you like these handcrafted studies of genre fiction, please head over to ZeroIndent.com or patreon.com/ZeroIndent if you'd like to consider supporting us. Even if you just give us a follow on Patreon, that helps us out. Leave a comment, a like, and if you're in a financial position to do so, you can support us and get access to early content, additional videos, director's commentaries, audio diaries, and all kinds of different things we have coming up. It really makes a difference helping keep independent media crit alive. Once again, that is ZeroIndent.com or patreon.com/ZeroIndent if you'd like to support us.